Does he ignore ExpecT and just kind of see this as a free win and then get surprised? Something like that can happen and has happened before, but let's introduce our players, of course, at the top right here in the blue, our Protoss player, current champion of Taiwan. It is Noise from Alpha X.
And on the other side of the map, how many punches from Protoss will he take before he finally stands up for himself? It's going to be the Red Terran ExpecT. He's getting bullied, Maynard. Someone help him.
I mean, this is the early game dance of TVP. I always say that the first probe from every Protoss. I have no problem with the probes of my opponent. You know, I will come and try and hunt them later as a Terran player, but the first probe is the only probe in the Protoss arsenal that I have a personal vendetta against.
Mine and a couple of SCVs, so the pressure never really lets up for ExpecT here as Nice starts to look for a different angle.
Nice going up to the main base here with that Immortal. He can start to actually go toe-to-toe with this tank as well. Engages Guardian Shield. Wants to commit to this battle. Juggles the sentry around there. Guardian Shield still engaged. Loses the sentry. Is still warping in more units. The Immortal getting quite low, but with the Adepts coming out, he can go toe-to-toe with the Marines again. And while these Stalkers shy, you know, if he target fires those Stalkers down and the SCVs, he should be able to kick them off. The Immortal, having his hardened shield back, means it can once again be a threat to this tank. Really good juggling from ExpecT on that tank. He does keep it alive, but unfortunately losing 10 SCVs. This is just not a comfortable situation at all for the Terran as Nice continues to barrel on the pressure.
This is exactly what I was thinking, Maynard. You know, when I was seeing those early trades, I'm watching him chip down the unit count. When meanwhile he's chrono boosting out Immortals, that Immortal as well as the Warp Prison. I'm thinking this man is out for blood, and you're just seeing the shade in towards the natural. He's pulled the units back. Surely this is going to be a very damaging blow for Terran to deal with.
I mean, the 4 Adepts and the Natural are really a pain there. The Bunker and the Tank are definitely assisting, so the Adepts are starting to get thinned out.
You see that additional CC being dropped, and ExpecT, I don't think he has to force anything. Seeing that CC being dropped, I feel like he's happy to sit in this entrenched position. He needs to sort of make sure he doesn't stick around too much longer, though, as you do see the Immortal pressure continuing, but unfortunately he hasn't been microing those Immortals. He's lost one of them. The other one just sitting on a little bit of HP, and actually that's enough pressure to cancel the CC as well as pull the units back from ExpecT and break that contain for the time being.
Yeah, charge loss coming into the main base here. If the Prism gets picked off, if he can get Marines and range that Prism, this is kind of, you know, the wind is taking out the sails of this attack. He is starting to move closer and closer to that Prism. The Zealot's kind of covering his retreat. And ExpecT comes home with those tanks as well. Amazingly Nice, not only hold.
Towards his third, I don't think he's going to expect the Protoss behind him, but now it actually does get the SCVs into position to tank all of the Zealots.
The tanks are actually doing an incredible job here for ExpecT. He's got a little bit of bio remaining. If he has any bio left over, he might be able to...
Wow.
Oh, never mind. No, there's just way too much Protoss here. I was like, the tanks are doing a fair bit, but the Warp-In's too good. The Charge Lot's too good. Liberator of the main kills 4 pros, but 24 SCVs have died because they were all with the attack.
Yeah, and he even had that third CC all along, and he actually does drop the third CC as well as a handful of mules, but surely won't have enough army to be able to hold on here as you see Nice just pushing straight back down in towards the tanks, going to utilize those Immortals to be able to pick off any of the Marauders. He's got so many Immortals and Archons, and that's the game there. A very weird one, aggression back and forth on both sides, but
I kind of would pay to watch that battle now. I would watch a boxing match between 2 people in a much bigger ring, but with broom handles.
Okay, that's really great to hear, Maynard, and I'm looking forward to see if your dreams become a reality. We'll see if Nice's dreams become a reality. They already have in the previous season of Dreamhack before.
Well, let's see. In the bottom left here, it is the man, of course, the current victor of Taiwan and the current reigning champ. It is Nice from Alpha X.
And over on the other side of the map, let's see if he has the craftier broom handle. If he went with the wood or the plastic, it is ExpecT.
I'd be so terrified of the wood broom handle. These plastic broom handles just don't cut the mustard. As an owner of a plastic broom myself, the wooden...
It's kind of like a multi-prong harassment. Third Nexus coming in here for Nice as the Observer makes his way in towards the main. And... we'll spout out a couple of racks being added as well as that NG Bay. Now the load up in towards the main, but he did see actually the recall as he did see the with the scout scouting. A lot of the Marines come in, but that is just a bit of a bait as the Hellions actually make it in. Probe wasn't quick enough to throw down that pylon, but the pull is nice from Nice.
It is nice from Nice. The probes are alive for now. The main base starting to get a bit of pep for these Marines. Gets 4 of them so far. The Marines still, with medevac support, actually trading all right against these Stalkers. The Stalkers getting low on hit points. The Hellions are back in the natural. Once again, no shield battery down here. They're trying to find an angle on this probe cluster on the left side. Oh, ExpecT getting quite a bit of probe damage there. I'd be pretty happy with 8 probes if I get to save the medevac, and I think that ExpecT did. So, as the Terran, I think you're pretty happy with how that went.
That's beautiful. He's bumping away into the tanks as well as the Marines, getting himself ready for a bit of a longer game here. And I'd say that he's in a much better position. Holy crap, that is a lot of observers just wriggling around everywhere. Nice doesn't want to be caught off guard by any kind of shenanigans, wants to see every single corner of the map he possibly can. How many observers is that? 4 or 5?
That is actually 4 observers, Pilly, which I must admit, you know, you brought up a really good point there, because there's something I didn't notice, but 4 observers is a lot of observers for this phase of the game. Yeah,
he's almost got as many observers as he has stalkers. It's insane. In theory, his unit should never be out of position.
Yeah. You know, he's got so many observers with the intention of getting caught by shenanigans, but unfortunately got caught by shenanigans. He lost a lot of probes so far in this game. I mean, the observer sieged up in front of the natural, the Terran, is definitely, like, I guess, the more important one. That's the one that sees when the critical push comes across the map, the one that usually ends the game for the Terran if the Protoss doesn't respect it.
Don't want to be losing that third nexus, otherwise things generally slide further downhill and you sort of get into that primal Protoss instinct of making more bad decisions and trying to 2-base all in or something like that. Bunker does get salvaged as the observer that was perched up does see the Terran move out, and the third CC actually being plopped down on location much later than the nexus here from Nice. So let's see if ExpecT can do some damage to make up for that, as there really isn't a whole lot to push this away just yet from Nice, but at least he does know it's coming.
I mean, if ExpecT is beelining here and he really gets a step on, I think he can actually do insane damage, potentially even kill the third, because the Colossus is just now popping out for Nice. And, you know, Colossus is fantastic to have against the bio units, but it is not going to have extended thermal lance for quite a bit, and 2 tanks is pretty threatening to a single Colossus. So it's very important for Nice to be very careful here and just not throw too many units away, while just respecting the bio a little bit. You know, he's going to lose his gateway units to the bio. The tanks are going to tie fire that for a moment, but of course they're about to kick into their production again.
You love to see it. As I think ExpecT now get to see what I was hoping for in that first game a little bit more. He's constantly kind of getting caught before he can siege his tanks up in time, sort of being pushed out of the less optimal position as Nice sort of gets on the front foot a little bit more. Needs to be careful, Nice, because this is not a whole lot of units from him. He only has those 2 Colossus. You don't want to see the 5 tanks just instantly one-hit KO one of those Colossus and allow Chase to come in from the bio.
This is a pretty tasty tank count here, and the Marauder count also pretty threatening to this Colossi ball. Charge would be lovely here for Nice, but it is a little bit of ways off. It's just over halfway done. And this tank count is, again, like 5 tanks is so threatening to this army of Nice. He does not have a good army against this many tanks. Really needs charge done here.
That gateway, you do see a couple of zaps coming into Colossus, but it's all on top of those Marauders, like you did mention. Now the Marines come into the fold, and they're just going to start focusing down these units. This is way too much for ExpecT to deal with. It is a 1-1 scoreline. Nice to see the man actually get to play his game a little bit more and show what he's made of. Very much in
one map, mate, to decide who wins this first series.
Makes a big difference. We will see if this blue Protoss player will put himself where we all expect him to be, the upper bracket. It's the blue Protoss. Nice.
And at the top left here in the red, getting a lovely game 2. A clean, crisp dispatching of his Protoss opponent. Can he do it again in game 3 here on Lightshade? This is ExpecT.
I'm a little bit more worried this time for Nostrils. Does slip that Reaper in towards the main base as well and sees the Blink researching pretty early on there. So ExpecT, this is about as good of a position that you'd want the man to be in. as he navigates his way through the rest of this game. I'm getting some tingles. I'm feeling good about this upset, to be honest.
Yeah, he's going for a 3 racks follow-up with the factory as well, so quite a bit of production here for ExpecT. A lot more focus on bio-production, that sort of thing. He's foregoing his starport at the moment. It's very common to see, you know, Terran after the 1 or 2 barracks go straight for the starport so they can get Widow Mines out, because the Widow Mine drop's not just probe damage, it's scouting as well. You know, the Medevac is a very fast unit, it's got the boost ability, and you get to see what the Protoss is up to while dropping Widow Mines on their face, and that's the power of that build. But this time, ExpecT's actually focusing a lot more on having a ground pound army of a lot more buy units and delaying the starport. So he is going to have a pretty nice fighting force here against the Protoss. If Nice did try to go for a big like blink attack, he'd be left a little bit wanting, I feel.
Yeah, well, he's not fully committed to that. It's not like the crazy, you know, 6-7 gates or anything like that. He's got quite a few gates. He's going to definitely be moving across the map and putting on some pressure, but he's not past the point of no return just yet. Just looking to try to see what damage he can get done. In the meanwhile, he's still making a couple of probes back at home, dropping the Colossus Den. Keen to see if he's going to drop that 3rd Nexus behind, or whether he's going to try and go for a second wave like
I'm a little worried for ExpecT here, specifically because
floor being able to give chase to a couple of the SCVs, but this is not going to stop ExpecT from pushing across the map, at least not for now, as the production rallies are enough to clean up those couple of Zealots. Now the engagement in the middle of the map from Nice does lose him a Stalker, but he's had enough reaction time here, Maynard, and he's going to actually engage out in the middle of the map.
I actually am a little bit worried about the army for Nice here more than ExpecT. Like, yeah, there's a good bit of splash damage there in that choke point thanks to Colossi, but a choke point this tight against the Terran with a good number of tanks is a little dangerous for the Protoss. It's very, it's like, yeah, maybe, but it's never convincing. So I'm seeing ExpecT pull back. I'm seeing Nice pull back. I think both players are terrified of engaging in the middle of this map. The light shade choke point in the very middle is very scary. When you have splash damage. But we are seeing a disengage here. Nice continuing to maintain, I feel like, a little bit of a lead, but the Terran definitely ahead in upgrades. Nice catching up in that regard. And we do have a 3rd base here on the way for the Terran. It feels like a little bit late to the party, as ExpecT has been putting a lot of eggs into the production basket.
Yeah, starting to power up a little bit more, but not much saturation. The Protoss have definitely had a hell of a lot more income for the last little bit, and you're seeing the results. You know, he has more workers. He might not be as big in terms of the army, but he's definitely starting to get there. Dark Shrine on the way will give him a little bit more run-by potential and harassment potential as we move in towards the middle portion of the game. He's going to grab himself a 4th Nexus. And that's just, you know, you're seeing Nice stay one step ahead of the Terran for the most part, and he hasn't really suffered any damage just yet.
Yeah. I mean, with seeing Prism speed in the Dark Shrine, it's pretty clear that Nice is going to try and get the Invisible Man inside of the infrastructure of the Terran. The Prism has already been killed. At least one of them has already been killed by the mixture of the Cyclone and the turret at the main base of ExpecT. And he's actually starting to reactor out Vikings as well, which is going to be pretty fantastic. Not only with dealing with the Colossus, but it actually isn't too bad of a tool to have when the the Prism juggling is starting to happen for the Protoss as well. Nice is going to try and go for the High Templar Prism thing, which I think Vikings are really effective against. Oh my god, that tank line! Jeez, that looks as 8 tanks, 7 tanks.
It's scary, but this is where you're going to start to see a couple of these Zealots trying to go for these hit and run tactics. One, a little squad of them up towards the north. You got a couple of them towards that Prism as well. Vikings have definitely scattered out those couple of Zealots, though, at least for the time being. And, keen to see how these disruptors do go, because Nice has definitely switched his splash damage this game, not going for that storm. Instead, this time it is the disruptors, and he's going to be sort of playing that hit and run style, sending out those disruptor shells, giving the Zealot run bys as well as the Dark Templar a pretty good go, and we'll see how it works out for him.
Pretty scary ball of units here for Nice. Good bit of splash damage with the 2 Colossi and the Disruptor. Usually it's 3 Colossi, strangely enough, so he does have a little bit less splash damage. The Archons are there as well, of course, so there's splash damage too. That is a doom drop right there from ExpecT. He's going to be looking for the main base here. Does take a little bit of the power out of his defensive army. With this many tanks, maybe he feels fine.
And the move up, straight up in towards that 3rd base location, but it is the closest towards the main, rather.
Oh my god.
CC being cancelled there for the time being, but here's the Doom drop into the main. Will the recall come out? He doesn't have energy on that main Nexus, actually.
Yeah, he actually needs 50 energy for that recall, so Disruptor's going to try and hold the line itself. That is a beautiful Nova, though, and the DTs should be able to clean this up.
Yeah, no scan just yet. It finally does come out, but there's more than enough DTs to be able to deal with that. And meanwhile, you did see the fallback from the main army as that scary tank line starts to move out on the map, but not as much bio to be able to support it.
That was a wonky recall there from Nice. He finally did get it, but it was only like 3 or 4 units. The attack is going in from ExpecT. I feel like when you get very, very tank heavy, it's hard to attack, but ExpecT has found a lovely position here, and that tank count is monstrous. The Archons are being deleted, trying to target fire down the Disruptors as well, successfully, I might add, but the DTs are getting through the bio line, and once he gets through the bio, the tanks are next on the menu. Nice is just hacking and ripping and tearing